Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It is another episode of the Crossover Sports Podcast, episode 96. We're closing on the 100 mark, so hopefully we can work something out and do something special for that big 100. Um, I've got Amini here with me right now. Hopefully we'll have Andre on later, and uh, I believe we'll have Matt on and maybe Kylan. Kylan was actually helping a friend move in somewhere, so he might not be able to. We'll see how that goes. But for those who have never watched the podcast, Amina, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself.
Good afternoon, everyone. On this Saturday, I'm coming to you live from the city of Philadelphia. It's pouring raining this weekend, a little dreary, but it's all right. Yes, we have some great topics to discuss today, and as Trey mentioned, today we're at episode 96, and based on calendar calculations, around maybe I think it was be September 8th. It'll be our 100th episode of that Saturday. So between now and then, we'll be planning a very nice episode for you all. So look into that
Yes.
and tune in.
Maybe something pre-recorded or maybe something live. Who knows? We'll see. Probably
Yes,
something. Yes.
it's saying episode 100 will be happening on the date that it's happening on because it's like literally right when football season starts and right a month before basketball season starts. So it's a good time.
Yes.
So that'll be that. But today we have some topics to discuss that have occurred over the past week. Not tragic, but awesome topics. So let's get started.
Um, and myself, Clarence, or Trey, as most people call me. Um, it's good to be back on the podcast. And again, like Mina said, hopefully for that 100th podcast, which she's looking at the calendar, is going to be September 8th. Hopefully, we'll have something nice and grand for 100th podcast. If not, we'll do it for the 101st. Because I know our numbers are probably, this is probably 96, give or take a few, because if you guys, for those who have been rocking out with us since the beginning, Kylan and I had some technical difficulties on the first couple episodes. So, I don't even know if you could call those first couple episodes podcasts because they probably what was only recorded was probably only, a half an hour, 45 minutes of the podcast. But as we're calling it right now, it's 96 and we're closing on 100. So something that I actually was not aware of, and Amina told me about before we even got on air, was that Sports Nation is actually, for those of you who don't know, ESPN had a show on um, called Sports Nation for years. It was closing in on 10, just barely missed that 10-year mark, and unfortunately, they're going to be canceling the show. It started off with Michelle Beadle and Colin Cowherd about 4 years ago, I believe. They had some changes. Colin Cowherd left, got his own show called The Herd, and they added blanking on his name. I mean, if you can tell what's his name, black guy. Um, wow, I'm blanking on his name. I can't remember his name, but they added that guy. Um, and in my opinion, I think it had a lot to do with viewership. But they're canceling the show, and uh, they're going to be ESPN is changing up their afternoon lineup of TV shows. They're going to be changing up a show called High Noon that it is hosted by Bonani Jones and Pablo Torre. They're going to be changing that to a half an hour um, show, and I believe they're going to be adding a live version of Sports Center, which is going to be pretty interesting, I think. Um, but I'm sure Amino would like to say a few words about Sports Center, or not Sports Center, excuse me, Sports Nation, because just like myself, we both enjoyed the show for at least part of those 9 years. I hadn't really watched it in the last 3 or 4 years since they changed up the host of the show. But go ahead, Amina.
Yes, Trey got the gist of what's going on. ESPN literally came out this breaking news for sports fans that have been watching ESPN over the years. They've decided to give Sports Nation the show the X after 9 years. They just barely missed their 10-year mark for next year. And they're going to move on from that, and they're going to revamp the entire ESPN organization, so to speak, revamp the shows that are offered on the station, change platforms a little bit, and all that. But as far as Sports Nation is concerned, I used to watch the show more so years ago, but not so much now. My interactions with Sports Nation in recent times have been with their articles they post about sports related things, and sometimes they do non-sports related things very so often. And I typically share them on social media, read them, look at the little videos in the articles and the like. So the fact that those articles they would no longer be making those, the show's going off the air. It shows a continuing shift in sports media and how people we've had discussions about this on other podcasts in the past about how people are not sitting in front of their TVs with their remotes and their snack and drink anymore like they used to. Everything is in real time now. We got everything is live now. We got Facebook Live, we got Instagram Live, we got Snapchat, we got all this. Um,
This
Shoot,
podcast right here is live.
at this rate, Twitter may even go live. God help us. But yeah, people aren't doing that anymore. Like the idea of sitting down for something that you can do on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. People don't want to have to turn on the TV, go on a station, and wait for something to come on. Like people want things automatic. This is the technological era now, and things are just behind. It also has to do with ratings, because I know a few other sports platform shows over the last few years have also been canceled due to ratings have gone down. People have moved on from those shows to go do their own solo thing or to even get a whole new career. So it's showing like we've said this before, time and time again in past episodes, how this time was going to come. Like, and it's slowly but surely happening where things that used to be with sports are no more. You don't even have to watch sports games on your actual physical TV anymore. You can go watch sports games on YouTube, actually live sports games. I watch some games on YouTube. You can actually Google actually has a service now where you can watch sports games. I don't know for the NBA, but I know they do for the NFL right now. But yeah, things are moving all online. Like the concept of I have cable Comcast, but it's pointless at this point. As time is going on, like people no longer want to sit and watch cable sports situations anymore, and it's showing. The ratings are going down. Stuff is being canceled. Entire organizations are changing their platforms to shorten things. It used to be an hour to half an hour now, 45 minutes if that. So we're seeing the shift and it's happening. It's been talked about, and here we are. Sports Nation is just adds to the list of other platforms that have been given the axe, and it's going to continue. Things are being condensed in the technological era, and for those who are old, as far as used to analog eras, where the bunny ears and the tinfoil, upgrade yourself because what you knew is not going to be anymore. What you see now is going to be happening, and it's going to increase. 50 years from now, what we know of sports now and in the past is just going to be a relic of the past. So whether folks like it or not, move with the times.
Dre, I know you just popped in. Uh, what we were talking about is I didn't know this. Amina just told me about it before we went on air. Uh, ESPN is actually canceling Sports Nation, the TV show that had Michelle Beadle and the guy whose name I can't remember right now. um, After almost 10 years, and they're switching up their afternoon lineup. They're shortening. I think they're going to be shortening a couple shows, and they're adding a live version of Sports Center. So, just your quick reaction to that, if you ever really watch the show. If not, then I guess it doesn't matter to you.
Hello, YouTube world. What's up, y'all? Sports Nation. I watched like clips of it. It never really engaged me like that, but a lot of sports shows don't engage me. And just like any other show, it depends who's the personalities on the show. That what pulls me into the show. I watch Skip Bayless and what's the guy's name? I can't think of any because they're very
Stephen A. Smith. Are you talking about Max Kellerman on their show?
yeah. That show is entertaining and funny. So that's what you got to be to pull me in. Um, and I spend a lot of time on social media. So if I don't see a clip on social media, 9 times 10 I probably won't watch it. Every now and then I watch Sports Center. I don't even watch Sports Center as much as I used to. I like the idea of shortening shows because we are in the era of people don't want to watch long programs. Some people want
Technological error that I mentioned.
absolutely. You right about that. The technological area, whereas we get everything so quick, especially on social media platforms. It's like, on Instagram, on Facebook, you can watch longer videos. You can watch a video that's like an hour. You can watch a whole movie. But on like Instagram, it's only a minute. And Twitter is only 45 seconds. And if it's Snapchat, it's even shorter. So you got to kind of adapt to the environment because people are used to seeing stuff quick. They're used to getting their laugh quick. They're used to getting their scare quick, their surprise, whatever it is. But yeah, I watched the show a few times. Like I obviously didn't watch it enough to tell you who the hosts were. Thanks for putting that out there. What they were, what their names were, Trey. But I'm not going to miss it personally. So you know, and it's just we got to evolve. We can't stay stuck in the past. Nothing. Everybody, I think, when they join the show or join any kind of program or any job, period, you got to know there's going to be this end date's going to come. So just how you begin, you're going to end eventually, and especially in today's world, like you got to be prepared for the next job. So don't worry about the one you're on now, but just do the best you can, and then don't be surprised. Just be prepared. I would say.
Yep. Both of y'all are. I agree with y'all about the. I mean, we're in an age where not only do we want things quick, I think the key is that we don't like watching things for long periods of time. That's the other thing. Um, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just part of how, as people, we've evolved in terms of what we like to view. So, Sports Center was typically, I believe, an hour long show. Um, and they used to do a lot of different things. They would bring celebrities on and they would talk about topics and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, at this point, ESPN felt they looked at their viewership and said, "Hey, it's not where we want it." And I'm sure Michelle Beadle and Marcellus Wiley is the guy I was thinking of. I could not think of his name for the life of me, so I had to look it up. I'm sure they'll find uh, jobs elsewhere, hosting or co-hosting other shows, because people like them as people, like you were saying. Uh, Andre, and they'll watch the show for those people. But as far as the actual show and what goes on in the show, maybe not so much. But let's move on from that. That was more of a side topic. Our first main topic of the day. For those, and I'll give you guys some context for those of you who are not really familiar with the sports world and the NCAA, which is the College Sports Association, has a very bad reputation when it comes to how they treat their players. Not necessarily in an abusive way, but when it comes to physically abusive, when it comes to how the players are allowed to gain money, they aren't allowed to. So, you have these in the major sports, these players bring billions of dollars of revenue to the NCAA and to the TV stations that cast these games, and the players get nothing. They can't sign a jersey and sell it. They can't. Recently, there were some UNC kids who were. There were some UNC basketball players who were actually suspended for trying to sell their UNC basketball shoes because apparently they're not allowed to make profit off of their things because they're considered amateurs. But recently, and one of the things
amateurs that generate $1 billion corporation.
Yes, right. And the NBA has not necessarily helped this in any way, but the NBA actually, this was a couple months ago. They began talks about allowing, bringing back that one and done rule, but I think it was on Thursday, I want to say, the NCAA announced kind of surprisingly, and USA Basketball and the NBA were caught off guard by this, that they're going to begin allowing players who are not drafted, if they leave college early, so whether that's after their first year, second year, third year, and they enter the NBA draft and are not drafted, they will be allowed to come back to the school they left and play another year. In my opinion, I think this is a good idea because I think what it allows kids to do is it gives them a chance to raise their draft stock. Let's say I'm a freshman. I was a highly touted, coming out of high school, go to a top school, but I end up going to a top school that has a lot of other top high school talent, and I kind of get pushed to the periphery on the team, and so I don't necessarily get to showcase my talent, and as a result, I don't get scouted as a top tier player going into the NBA draft, and I go undrafted. For me, what that does for me is it allows me to come back to a team that maybe has more top tier talent, but they're younger. You've got a year under your belt of college basketball. Now I can kind of be a leader on the team, showcase my talent, and potentially raise my draft stock. Now, but that's up to the player, so they can enter the draft, be undrafted, and it's not like they're being forced to go back to school. They can go back to school if they'd like to and try to hone in on their skills and build their draft stock and re-enter the draft the following year. Or they can just remain an undrafted free agent, go to workouts with different teams and try to work their way onto a team that way and begin their NBA career. Or they could just remain undrafted and go overseas, something like that. I think it's a really good idea. I think it opens up a lot of doors for players who were one and dones but weren't necessarily NBA ready, can come back to the college game and showcase their talent again on the college arena. and it also gives players who maybe were injured in their freshman year a chance to rather than having NBA teams look at what they did in 5 games in college, they'll have another year to showcase the talent. A good example of this is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was highly touted out of high school. He went to high school in Australia. He's from Australia. Played, I think, 6 games at Duke. Got injured. He was good enough. He's a rare exception. He was good enough that he still ended up going number 1 in the draft because scouts were just so impressed with his ball handling skills, his shooting ability, and just his presence on the court, even though he only played 5 college games. But for players who are not like Kyrie Irving, who are not as gifted as Kyrie Irving, but they maybe were highly touted at a high school and get injured, or for whatever reason are undrafted going into the NBA draft, they are now in a position where they've got some more options under their belt. Because what happens is what was previously happening is that you go into the NFL draft, I think you could go back to school and get your degree, but you would not be, you've forfeited your eligibility to continue playing basketball for that team. And if I'm correct, this is only for basketball. This would not include any of the other 3 major sports, which are basketball. I mean, not basketball, but football, baseball. But I like the idea because it's kind of like a soccer thing. Because a lot of times you have kids who are in high school. They'll go through camps or USA camps or whatever, play soccer. They may even go to college and play a little bit of soccer, and then they'll sign with an MLS team, or they'll sign with the national team or something like that of their country. Or even in baseball, you have guys who get drafted, never even play. They'll continue playing college basketball, and then for a year or two, and then they'll go and play. So I like that it's a more open idea. However, like I was mentioning about the NCAA, they still got some other issues that I think are more important than this. Allowing, they've got the whole amateurism thing still in their back pocket. They've got all these allegations as far as cheating and gambling and all that. So my question to both you, Amina and Andre, and we'll start with Amina, is what are your general thoughts on this? But more specifically, do you think this is possibly a step in the right direction for the NCAA? And do you like the idea of what they're trying to do here?
Who's turn, mine or Dre's?
What did you say, Amina? I'm sorry.
I said, whose turn? My turn or Dre's turn?
Yeah. Amina, and then Dre will be next.
Okay. I gotta agree with you, Trey. When I saw this, I actually saw this posted online. It started coming up in my when I was doing my usual web surfing. It came up like right after the last podcast. Concerning, like, I think I saw it that Saturday afternoon, early evening, maybe it's that Sunday last week. I think it's good. I gotta use Steph Curry's brother as an example, Seth Curry, because he was supposed to be in the 2013 NBA draft. I think he did go to Davidson like his brother, but unlike his brother, he was never drafted. Like, he didn't make it. But he went into the NBA through the G League, which is the minor leagues. of the NBA. It's 27 teams in the G League. So he floated around with that for a few years, for a short time, not a few years. And he signed to a few actually NBA teams, regular ones. He signed to the Cavs, the Mavericks, I think one other, and now he's on the Portland Trailblazers. And I think this is great because it gives people the opportunity to really showcase themselves, to go hard, go home. And it gives them the means to prove themselves because many are called but few are chosen for the NBA draft, because when you look at the NBA draft, only 60 slots are available every year for the draft. 30 for the first round, 30 for the second round, and whoever else is left doesn't make it. So it's slim to none. Like, you really got to be on your A game to really be a draft pick because it's only 60 slots per year. And the fact that now they will have the ability to come back to school, retrain on a collegiate level, and then retry again for the professional level, it adds more to their resume, so to speak. I just wish that the NCAA would handle the other situations they have that Trey mentioned. Um, when he went into his thoughts about this question, I wish that they could earn a salary with this. I wish that they could take up endorsement deals. I wish they could sell items with their name on it that they signed their autograph on. I wish that they could make money from off of the teams that they're on, because these schools, like Trey mentioned, they're making millions and billions of dollars a year, but these players, they get the crumbs. Some players, all they go to these colleges and universities on are these on these ridiculous scholarships, and that's it. Like, these players go to these schools on these scholarships, no matter whether it's full or partial, and they still have to find money to do their laundry. They still are having to find money to eat, still having to find money for hygiene products, still having to find money to go to the store. Like, all they get is their refund checks and whatever money their family send them. They don't even they're not even really allowed to even have a campus job, like, for work study, because their time is dedicated towards their studies and the athletics that they're involved with. They don't have time even to get a job maybe 10 hours a week on campus. They don't even have that. So the fact that they have the ability to do this is great. Players should be able to avoid the G League as much as possible. There's nothing wrong with the G League. There's some great players on those 27 G League teams throughout the NBA, but that's not why people want to go to the professional level. Nobody has a dream of saying, "Oh, I want to go for the G League, the minor league teams of the NBA." No, you want to be a part of one of the 30 main teams. That's your goal. Okay, so I hope the NCAA continues to come around, update itself on its overturned thinking, and let these players function like have them function like professionals. Because you all are making money off of them, but they can't make money off of themselves. I use the situation with the NCAA like the music industry. When you sign a contract at one of these record labels, you get commission off of the music you make, but the label, they making the bulk of the money off of you. Some artists barely make 20-30% back. But the label, they the ones that make the millions off of you. That's why a whole lot of music artists wind up dead, broke, and miserable. So have the opportunity where these players make full 100% back on their investments, where they make money. And it's good that they're able to also come back to school because they get to finish their studies, get their degree, if they want that still, and to re-show themselves. And they'll have more experience on the collegiate level with one more year when they go back to go to the NBA draft. So it opens a lot of doors for opportunities. So this is a good thing. And hopefully it starts to be tied in with conversations, the one and done rule, because I feel as though it's eventually going to be. So we'll see. Right?
Mr. Terry, you are up.
So the new NCAA double updates is what we're talking about, right?
Yes, sir. And just to make sure, are you aware of what the updates were?
No, can you tell me?
Yeah. So no, it's fine because I didn't really know because really the main one we're talking about is that what they're doing is they're allowing players who enter the draft and are undrafted to come back and play in college. There's actually some other things that they're going to be doing that involve shifting some responsibilities over to the NFL or NBA and over to USA Basketball. But the one we're talking about specifically now is allowing college kids to enter the NBA draft, and if they're undrafted, they have the option to go back and play for the school that they initially left.
So they can go back and play for the school if they didn't get drafted.
Yes, they get another
Correct.
chance to go for the draft.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
nice.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think because I'm almost under the belief that if I was well I no well don't get me wrong, I love college and I love the whole experience and all that, but if I was one of those kids like a Brandon Jennings and I really didn't want to go to school, I would definitely go overseas and play or just play in the D League and play for like a year and then go for the NBA draft. But the fact that they're giving them more options, I think, is a great idea. So I like that. I like the fact that NCAA is trying to work with them. I still think they need to pay the players. I think when you're making money off of somebody, I think it's unfair for you to, like Trey said, talking about when he was referring to the kids that were selling their sneakers because they're amateurs and they can't make money off of themselves. It's ridiculous. They're not amateurs. Most of these kids been playing since they were, in middle school, elementary school. So they had a lot of experience playing basketball. And we're talking about the game, people. We're not talking about splitting atoms. We're not talking about rocket science. You know, that's something to a total different expectation. This expectation is that you can score, that you can play defense, and most people can do that if you just give them enough practice, you give them enough training. And these kids have had a lot of training. They've given up their summers. They've given up a lot of late nights when it's, you know, practice at the school and on the weekends and all that. So, they still have more strides. Like, I feel the same way Trey does. I feel like they should focus on other things and besides the draft. But yeah, I like the direction they're going. They just gotta pay them players. I'm a big advocate. They got to pay them players something.
All right, sounds good to me. And uh, some of the other changes they were making, I'm not exactly sure about how they will work out, but NCAA is actually trying to shift some responsibilities as far as scouting goes onto USA Basketball. And when I say scouting, I'm talking about part of the scouting process is getting some of these guys agents as early as their junior year. So they're actually trying to shift part of that responsibility um, the onto USA Basketball.
Now I did
But
see something about that, and I was kind of
yeah,
leery about that because
but
agents aren't always the best for
right,
people.
and then the other thing was that and I don't know all the details about it, so I don't necessarily want to go into it. But the other thing that I saw potentially being an issue was that that would include because the NBA invites foreign players into the draft as well. You know, they enter the draft as well. So players like Luka Doncic, how would that work out? Because they're not playing in college, and we have USA Basketball has no jurisdiction over. You know, like why would they be involved in helping a foreign player choose an agent? But that's a whole nother topic, and maybe we can talk about that next week when we get when we get a little bit more detail about exactly what those rule changes would be for the NCAA and how they would affect the NBA and how they would affect um, USA Basketball and anybody else involved. So let's go ahead and move on to our next question, which is NBA marquee matchups. If you didn't know, NBA, we're talking about the NBA a lot today. uh, NBA just released full schedule. I believe it was just yesterday. They kind of gave us sneak peeks throughout this week, and then they put out the full schedule. I believe the Thursday or yesterday. So there's a lot of good games coming up. Um, Christmas Day, you have OKC and Houston are playing each other. Sixers Celtics play Christmas Day, and they also play opening night. The Lakers and Warriors, which I think a lot of people are really looking forward to that, and I'm sure Amina is looking forward to that. On Martin Luther King Day, you've got Lakers Warriors again at 10:30. Opening night, you've got OKC versus the Warriors, same way we had it last year. And you also have Lakers Rockets on NBA tip off night, which is or NBA tip off is the whole I believe is the second week of October. So like the 14th through the 21st. But my questions to you guys are what matchups are you guys looking forward to? And what and we'll do this is a little early, but we'll do this. What are your picks for who you think will be in the finals? So your the matchups, the marquee matchups that you're looking forward to, whether it's a Christmas Day game, whether it's your favorite team playing somebody, whatever. What games are you looking forward to, and who do you think will be in the finals? And Amina, we already know who you think is going to be in the finals because you didn't put it all over Facebook.
Warriors versus
We'll start with Andre this time though.
So, of course, the big games I'm looking forward to the Lakers, the Warriors. Um, I'm trying to think. San
Oh,
Antonio against the Raptors. Go ahead, Trey.
and one I forgot to mention was Lakers Cavs in November. I think it's November. Lakers Celtics is February 7th, so that's going to be a big game. And then Lakers Cavs will be November, I want to say 21st, so right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, those should be some great games. I'm looking forward to that. How you doing? As far as Sixers, Celtics, those are going to be big games from now on because that's a new rivalry, and I can't wait to see Markel Fultz play a full season with uh with Ben Simmons and the rest of the squad. So we see how that's going to go. Now, who's gonna be in the finals? I'm gonna have to go with Amina on this one. I've seen it time and time again. I probably won't be watching the finals, but it's gonna probably gonna be Golden State, and let's see what East team can scurry their way to the finals. Um, we know where they. Well, I'm gonna put it out there. I hope and I pray it's the Sixers, but that all depends upon how well they do in the in the uh, in the regular season and how well they gel with Markel Fultz and everybody stays healthy. Ben Simmons and they just stay on track to be as great as we know they are. So I'm gonna say the Sixers and the Golden State Warriors. Now I'll be surprised if if the Cavs even make the playoffs because we know Kevin Love is going to have to play his heart out now for them to even make the playoffs. And we know Kevin Love can be dominant. So, I expect a good performance from him. And I expect him to play through some injuries. The Raptors with Kawhi Leonard, you know, I'll say in the first half of the season I say by the All-Star break, we'll know what the Raptors are going to be. And the rest of the teams in the East, Washington, they've been letting us down for years. I really wish they would have went further than they did because I like John Wall and I like what's his name that played with him, the shooting guard. I like him as well.
Bradley Beal,
Bradley Bill. There you go.
Florida
Thank you.
Gator.
And I think they could have been something great, but it's just I don't know. Those guys disappear in the big moments. I don't know what it is. It's like they're allergic to big moments. They don't exceed for whatever reason. Um, I want to see Houston do their thing this year because they balled out last year. They gave Golden State everything they had and won enough. Like Chris Paul got hurt. I hope he can stay healthy this season. I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying to think who else is in the West. OKC ain't gonna do nothing. I don't know why Paul George stay there. That system they got going with Russell Westbrook. Don't get me wrong, Russell Westbrook's a great player. I'll never take anything away from him, but he's not going to push you to the next level. He can score like crazy. He can win you a bunch of games. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. A lot of players can win you games. That doesn't equal to a championship. So, um, I'm just really looking forward to seeing these big games. The Christmas games. I love watching basketball during Christmas time. I love watching it during Martin Luther King's birthday. I love how all of them, wear something different and they all speak out. I wish they would speak out more during the year, not just during the big events. But that's a battle we continue to fight. So we have been talking a lot of basketball today, and I love basketball. Hopefully we talk more about the NBA, and the NBA just keeps growing because NBA is taking over. And we talked about it many, 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 many times on the podcast. NFL stuck on that old school rut, and they want to use this 1960 model. Fine. Roger Goodell doesn't want to give up power and give somebody else control. Fine. And Adam Silver is doing his thing. Let him do his thing. So it is what it is.
Amina, go ahead.
Yes, this season is going to be a very great season. That's from where I can see from the schedules. As far as my team, Golden State, defending champs, I'm looking at the schedule since the full schedule was released this past week. Got some awesome games lined up. Played the Lakers a few times throughout the season. We actually have a Halloween game on 10/31 against the Pelicans. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jaleel Okafor playing that with the Pelicans. For those that don't know, Jaleel Okafor, former Sixers and former Nets, he signed a deal with the Pelicans. So he's with Anthony Davis now. So that's a career upgrade for him. Um, I'm looking forward to the two Warriors and Sixers games for the season. That'll be in 2019. One at the Oracle on January 31st, and one at the Wells Fargo on March 2nd, I think it is. So I'm looking forward to seeing Warriors versus Sixers. The Lakers, looking forward to seeing that on 12/25, as well as on MLK Day. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to our first road game against the Jazz in October. Looking forward to our first game at home against Russell Westbrook. He'll be coming to the Oracle. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to our ring and banner ceremony night as well. Got another banner coming to the rafters. And what else games am I looking to? I said Pelicans, Lakers, Sixers. Yeah. As far as finals go, Trey said it. And I've been saying it. I feel it in my bones that, like, I don't want to be wrong, but I feel it in my bones. I feel as though it's going to be Warriors versus Celtics for some reason. Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward are going crazy in the gym this offseason. Like, if you keep up the Celtics off-season videos, they are off the chain right now. Hayward is pissed because he missed the entire season, so he's coming back with a vengeance, and Kyrie Irving is going to do what he does. I'm looking forward to that, along with the two of them joining the roster, back on active roster with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Looking forward to that. So they're stacked. Golden State is stacked. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm also looking forward to seeing Boogie Cousins when he's cleared to come back, hopefully sooner than later, but maybe at some point during the winter, he'll be back in action. So this is going to be a great season, and the NBA has added more national games this season. I think the Sixers, I think they got 27, Warriors 28, and a few other teams got a lot of games that will be seen all across the country. So people will not just be relegated to games that are in their local vicinity area around their state. They'll be able to see games in, California for games all the way over here in the East Coast and vice versa. People up north will be able to see national games down south. So it'll be more of a community thing now, rather than saying, "Oh man, I can't watch that game because it's not in my time zone." The NBA is trying to do away with that and have all the games on the major networks. Which for the NBA, that's ABC, ESPN, and TNT. So NBA TV as well for your cable packages. I'm looking forward to the matchups that we're going to be seeing. A whole lot of trades have happened this off season. Draft picks from the draft back in June. People have re-signed to their teams. So this is going to be a great season. I wish all 30 teams well, and just go out there, have fun, take care of business, but have fun and ball out. This is going to be a great season. The regular season ends around mid-April, so we'll know the playoff teams by mid-April. The season is done.
Well, for myself, I'm pretty much excited for. I mean, I watched all the Christmas Day games for the most part. Um, I tend to, when those big games come on TNT or ESPN, those marquee matchups, I'm always looking for it. What I really, really want to see is I really want to see Lakers Warriors. I want to see I think Sixers Cavs is the Eastern Conference Championship. And if it's not the Eastern Conference Championship, they'll meet up at some point during the playoffs. Because I think as far as I like the Bucks. There's some other young teams in the East that might do some things. The Raptors, but again, I don't know about the Raptors. We'll see. Like Dre said, once it comes to the All Star break. But as far as young teams that are coming up, Sixers, Celtics, and the Bucks. Those are the three teams that you got to pay attention to. Now,
And the
as far
Pacers,
as huh?
they're stacked too.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I did forget about the Pacers. Especially with the emergence of Victor Oladipo,
What about the
coming into
Cavs?
stardom.
Nobody cares about
Nah,
the Cavs. Nobody
the Cavs ain't doing. I mean, they might sneak into the 8 seed, but they ain't doing nothing in the playoffs. They've got experience, but they don't have enough talent
They'd be
to do
lucky to
anything
be
in the
ninth or
playoffs.
10th seed.
But again, I I'm excited for the season because I like watching basketball. But when you've got a team like the Warriors and maybe even a team like the Rockets, if they can gel with the addition of Carmelo, it gets to a point where the regular season becomes more and more of the games become meaningless. You have and people hone in and focus in more and more on marquee matchups, and they focus less on games that probably are just as interesting as some of these marquee matchups, but because like a game of like let's say New Orleans versus you know Golden State. Most people, unless you're like a diehard basketball fan or you're a Warriors fan or a Pelicans fan, you're not going to watch that game. But for me, to it seems like every time I watch Pelicans play the Warriors, the Pelicans put up a really good fight, and Amina can attest to that. So, but I think what's
It's that
going on is
defense that Anthony Davis with that crazy
right,
wingspan is.
right. But what happens is you get a lot of super teams, whatever you want to call them, super teams, whether they were built or drafted or whether they were signed through free agency, super teams. Um, you end up with a lot of people who are just like, I don't want to watch the regular season. Come playoff time, they'll watch it. But even playoffs, and as far as finals matchups, to me, obviously, the favorite to be in the finals on the West and in the Western Conference is the Warriors. If this is if Houston stays healthy, they can beat the Warriors. After they did lose Trevor Ariza, they were able to retain Clint Capella, so and then they added Carmelo. Houston has the ability to beat Gold State. They showed it last season by taking them to 7 games, even without Chris Paul healthy. So we'll see. But in my opinion, it's if Boogie is healthy, and even if he's 80% and can play in the playoffs and give them 15 minutes, it's a wrap. Golden State wins it. In the East, it's between Boston and Philly, maybe the Pacers, and I think the Pacers are the dark horse team that people are going to underestimate, and they're going to play because they're going to always play hard. They're going to play defense, and they're going to come. They're going to come at you hard, and so I think that's the dark horse in the East. And maybe the Bucks. I don't see the Bucks being a finals team, but they'll be a tough out in the first 2 or 3 rounds of the playoffs. But I think it's going to be either Warriors, Sixers, Warriors, Raptors. I mean, not Warriors, Raptors. Warriors, Sixers, Warriors, Celtics, and like I said, maybe Warriors, Pacers. But the matchup that everybody is again this year, everybody's going to be looking forward to is Warriors, Houston. I mean, during the regular season, the marquee matchup obviously is Lakers Warriors because people want to see whether or not the Lakers have what it takes to even match up against the Warriors. But for real, again, whoever ends up in that Western Conference final is likely going to be that's the series that people are going to be looking forward to as the NBA Finals. Although if Boston ends up in the finals, I think Boston, because of their depth and how young they are and the fact that they can get up and down the floor so easily, and keep up with the Warriors in terms of offense, that would be a very, very interesting series to watch.
And they nearly
As much as I would like
eliminated
the Sixers, and as much as I would like the Sixers to be in the finals, going up against the Warriors in terms of being able to get back up and down the floor and being consistent on offense, they can't match up well. They have the talent there, but consistent offense, being able like to go shot for shot with, Golden State they don't necessarily have it yet. But that's that. We'll go ahead and move on to a new topic. Staying with the NBA again. For those again who don't know or are not aware, Kawhi Leonard, who formerly played for the San Antonio Spurs, was traded about a month ago. I think it was now. Seems like it was forever ago. Was traded to the Raptors for a player who he thought would stay in Toronto for the rest of his career in DeMar DeRozan. And after almost a month of now being cleared, well, I guess he was cleared to play because he passed his physical. He sent out a farewell letter to the San Antonio Spurs, which came as a surprise to many because of the way that Kawhi Leonard left the Spurs and what seemed like a little bit of a relation, a little bit of a rift in the relationship between Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard. But I'll go ahead and read the letter he sent out. It says, San Antonio, I have been going back and forth the last few days trying to figure out the right things to say. And it comes down to two simple words. Thank you. My family and I want to say thank you to the entire Spurs organization and the people and fans of San Antonio. Thank you to every one of my teammates I've played with over my 7 years. Excuse me, I cannot read right now. Thank you to every one of my teammates I've played with over my 7 years in the NBA. Thank you, Pop. I'll always be grateful for my growth under your guidance. Thank you to the fans. There is not a more passionate or dedicated fan base than what I've witnessed in San Antonio. Through all the ups and downs, I'm glad there were many more ups. I'll never forget what we have shared and accomplished together. While I'm looking forward to the next chapter in my career, I'll always remember the city and the people of San Antonio. Thank you, Kawhi Leonard. And he put his Kawhi Leonard's little logo that he had, his brand logo. So like I mentioned, I don't think the letter comes as the idea of a letter is not a surprise, but I think the fact that he thought it, that he kind of breaks this silence, because we hadn't heard anything from Kawhi Leonard aside from the fact that he wanted to go to, when he was still in San Antonio, that he wanted to go to LA. Other than that, and I don't think that came out of his mouth. I think that came from his agent. The only thing we really heard from Kawhi Leonard from his camp was from his, I believe it was his father, or it might have been his uncle. I'll start off with this. The question is, do you like that he broke his silence, or do you think he should have just been quiet, kept playing, and not even bothered sending a farewell letter? And for me, I like I'm saying, I think it's a great idea that he kind of broke his silence, kind of quieted some of because the rumors were that Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard had a little bit of rift in the relationship, and I think they did. And people have rifts in the relationship. People are people. You argue, you fuss and fight. I think at the end of the day, though, I think Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard, as he mentioned in the letter, both respected each other as, I think Greg Popovich respected Kawhi as a player, and I think Kawhi Leonard respected Pop as a coach because of who he is as a guy and what he's done, what he's been able to accomplish over his career. And Kawhi Leonard did win a ring and was Finals MVP. So I think it's good that he kind of broke that silence. and kind of squashed a little bit of that rumor about their relationship. And he he officially says, I'm thank you, blah blah blah, whatever. Um, and a little bit, maybe it was a week ago or a week and a half ago, Greg Popovich was asked about Kawhi Leonard being traded, and he said, he said some good things about Kawhi Leonard, and he was like, but that's in the past now. He's been traded. We're moving on from that. That's in the past now. So I think Kawhi Leonard's letter and then Pop's response to the interview question, they're putting that in the past. Kawhi Leonard got a ring while he was there. He won a Finals MVP. Greg Popovich's legacy has not changed whether Kawhi Leonard was traded or not, and it's in the past now. Let's move forward. Pop will do what he's doing with the Spurs. Kawhi will do what he can do on Toronto to win as many games as possible and try to win a championship. So I'll pose the question to you guys, and we'll start it. We'll flip it and start with Amina again. What do you think that Kawhi should have sent a farewell letter out, or do you think that he should have maintained his silence instead of breaking it?
I think it's good for closure because for many months we have been trying to figure out what was going on between him, Coach Pop, the organization, as far as the Spurs concerned, and the like. And it's a good thing. When I looked at the farewell letter that he sent out to the public when it first came out, and I read it. I was like, he's in a great place in his life. He didn't verbally come out because he's a quiet soul. He rarely talks. He doesn't give interviews. Anybody that knows him knows that he doesn't talk to the media. So for him to sit and put his heart into this very brief letter, that shows a great step that he made. Like, it took initiative, it took strength, it took courage and maturity. And as Trey mentioned, he did in 2014. He won his only ring, and he won MVP with the Spurs. So he did come out with success on his resume to his name. When I look at this letter, I also look back at that picture of him and Coach Pop when they was having a meal in a San Diego, California restaurant, like a few weeks before they was traded between him and DeMar DeRozan before they was traded to each other's respective teams. And I thought, along with other people, that meeting was to reconcile and to work things out for him to continue staying with the Spurs along with other people. Thought so. But when I now look at this letter, I think that meal that they had was like a farewell situation. I don't think it was a reconciliation. I think it was a let's talk about what's been going on and just go on about our way. And that's what it came out to be. That meeting was so they could end things with each other. It wasn't so they can continue.
Right. I think it was like let's be men type of thing.
Right. To put things to the side, look at the bigger picture, and just be mature about this. In the several months long media drama that's surrounding Spurs, Coach Pop, and Kawhi Leonard, and just move forward out of respect and dignity for one another. And now that he's on a new team, I think that he can restart his career. He hasn't played in several months, like probably since late last year, maybe January was the last time he played. So it'll be interesting to see the new Kawhi Leonard play because we don't know how good he is or how bad he is. Sure, he passed the Raptors' physical examination, but we don't know how good he is on the court anymore. So it'll be good to see his new level of playing now starting in October when he starts his first few games with the team, the Raptors. But I wish him well. A great player. I can't say nothing bad about him. He's a quiet soul, stays to himself, and he's about his business. And He's about his family and he values what they have to say. So I respect it. And Coach Pop not mad. He said some great things about him recently too. So to me, the drama is over with that team between the Coach Pop and Kawhi Leonard. And new season starting, so it's good. Anyone else have anything else to say?
Um, for Matt, I'm not sure if you heard what we were talking. You're aware of what Kawhi Leonard actually sent out a farewell letter to the Spurs organization. He didn't send it, and I think this is important to know. He did not send it to Pop. It was not like a personal letter to Pop. It was a letter that he sent to the Spurs organization in which he did address Pop, but he addressed also the fans. And he did not address his teammates, however. He did not say anything about the teammates that he played with. He just said Pop and the fans. And um, and the organization as a whole. But that's what we were talking about. We were talking about whether or not you think um, he should have kept the flowers or whether it was a good idea or not to send that letter out. And actually, I'll let Matt go and then Dre can go last.
I don't know if y'all can hear me. If not, let me know.
Yes, we can hear you. Yep.
First things first. He's not obligated to give anybody any farewell or anything as far as anyone's concerned. He's not obligated to tell, look, he got traded, he got traded. It is what it is. Now we can finally put this Kawhi Leonard nonsense to rest, because frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sick and tired of it. So, with that being said, and drama that really is no drama, there really is no drama to be talking about in the first place. So, I don't know why the press is making up all this drama, because there is no drama with Greg Popovich and the like. The man got traded. The man got traded. So bygones being bygones. Yeah, I think it's an internal. It's an internal matter. It's a very internal matter. So he is not obligated to give any type of farewell, anything to anyone. It's just a thing that you do just to say thank you to the fans. And oh, by the way, it's just for the fans. That's it. So let's not make a. To me, it's much ado about nothing. That's all it is. So to make it bigger than what it is, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of internet space, in my opinion. So look, say what you like, say what you will, say what you want. Honestly, this was a complete waste of time, the waste of my breath, the waste of my energy, the waste of my eye space, and the waste of my brain cells being fried over this nonsense that is Kawhi Leonard and his former employer. He's in Toronto. He got traded. It is what it is. Let's move on.
And Dre, before you go, I just want to. I actually have to hop off because I had to go to work. So Amina and Dre and Matt will be the big
Forget
three on
work.
the podcast.
The podcast come before.
Until it's over. Yes, it will continue on. And so you guys go ahead and continue on, and I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Thanks, Trey. Have a great day at work.
Um, Matt, did you want to have anything to say about the NCAA question?
Nope.
Okay.
Because as far if it's a what the as far as the NBA concerned, is dead. There's nothing going on. Number one. Number two, I don't know y'all talking about the NFL thing. It's a dead issue, and frankly, Donald Trump needs to shut his mouth and sign a bill.
Well, the NCAA question was the players are now able to go back to school to try again for the draft for the NBA if they don't get drafted the first time.
They should have done that. They should have done that in the first place. I don't know what took them so long. I don't understand as to why you declare for the draft, you don't get picked, and all of a sudden, oh no, you you don't come back. Some rules, if you sign an agent, that's a whole different story. But if you don't get picked, I mean, you decided to enter yourself into the draft. You don't get picked, and all of a sudden you don't come back. That's a problem, and I'm glad they addressed it, and glad they.
Yes,
Um,
that's the question.
Yes,
They're
that's the
now
question.
able
They're now
to
able
have another
to
opportunity
have
to
another
enter the
opportunity
draft
to
for
draft
another year.
I'm not done.
for another year.
I'm not done. Like I said, I'm glad they addressed it. I'm glad they did what they did, and on top of that, it makes the college game good. It keeps the integrity of the college game good. Just pay the players.
Hopefully, they're working on that. Dre, did you have anything to say about the question with Kawhi Leonard, or did you want to move on?
No, what was the question? The trade was the last one we just did.
That was the Kawhi Leonard question with the farewell letter. The next
Yeah,
question I
yeah,
was going to start if you didn't have anything to say about the
yeah. I definitely had
Kawhi
something to
Leonard.
say about that. First Kawhi Leonard, him doing the letter, I think it's a classy move, and I think it's the best move. I'm sure his agent probably advised him. His whole team probably advised him. That's the best way to handle the situation, even though they ended on bad terms. And clearly, there's a rift between him and Popovich. Because the fact that none of them are really coming out and saying what the issue is tells me there's an issue. Because why would you leave a team unless you were having an issue with your coach? Like if everything's going great, you stay there. Like you won a championship there, you won an MVP there. It's the best place for you to be. They got your best interest at heart. But obviously, he felt like they didn't have his best interest at heart at the time. So it's just like Trey said, like relationships grow, people grow. Sometimes relationships is just for the season. That person was in your life just to help you get to the next level. And once you reach that level, it's just time to move on. You can't stay stagnant. Because anything stagnant, it's not growing. So I wish San Antonio the best, and I wish Portland the best. It's what they had is what they had. Like you said, like they said, it was the past. It's time to move on.
Of course. Next question is Philadelphia 76ers. The rookie curse continues with 19-year-old 2018 draft pick Zaire Smith. He was doing summer training at a workout in Las Vegas a little over a week ago, just about. And he now has a foot fracture that he's going to have to get surgery for and physical therapy. Thoughts on him joining those that came for him as far as Sixers rookies? You can go, Matt or Dre. Who wants to go
What was the
first?
question again? Say the question one more time.
It's the
yeah, because
question. It's the question for the Philadelphia 76ers, the rookie curse question, because Zaire Smith now joins the list of rookies that came before him that have been drafted by the Sixers. Now he has a foot fracture from doing summer workout training in Las Vegas. He has to get surgery and physical therapy for it now. He just got drafted in June, so he might miss the start of.
I got you. I got you. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. I got you. Here you go. Welcome to the Philadelphia 76ers home. 76ers home to where you have your rookies will always be hurt before they even step on the court on the first game of the regular season. See Joel Embiid, see Nerlens Noel, see Ben Simmons, see Markel Fultz, and others. This is the Sixers. This is the Sixers. What do you expect? Now, I'm gonna take the same route I took with Ben Simmons, Joe Okafor, and the like. Take your time, okay? This team is already good. It is already. Just take your time. We're in no rush. Besides, what's this? August. This is August. So I don't expect. I don't expect the Sixers to rush because look, there's no point in pushing the panic button. We don't need to push the panic button. We're already one of the best three teams in the East. So, for anyone that's pushing the panic button now, sit back, relax, and just chill. This team is fine. For all of Philadelphia, just do yourself a favor. Watch them get ready, get eagled up, get Phillied up, and just relax. The Sixers are fine. He's going to be fine. If he sits out, he sits out. I, I think it's a similar injury to where Ben Simmons had. So I expect him to sit out for at least half the year, but we're going to be fine. So I'm not raising no anything. We're good.
Dre?
Uh, I don't want to buy into too much that they're cursing and all that. Has it happened with every Sixer we had for like the past 6, 7 years? Yes, but it is what it is, man. It's sports, man. Like you're not gonna skate through without an injury. So injuries happen. It's part of the game. If you box, you gonna get punched in the mouth. It's that simple. You know. I really don't really look at injuries too much. I look at how you address your injury. That's more where I'm standing at. It's not about how many times you get knocked down; it's how many times you get up. So because AI played through every injury known to man. That's why we love AI because he's a warrior. Anybody that's not a warrior, I'm not with it. So if you're not gonna be a warrior for our Sixers, then kick rocks with open sandals.
Ouch, that hurts.
Kobe played through every injury known to man, too.
But that's two different players though. See, that's two different players. Don't get me started. I just dropped my coffee, and already I've been
Oh,
here almost a month. Don't get me started. Fall season's around the corner. The postseason's around the corner. Don't get
calm
me.
down. Calm down. Um, yes, I agree with what both people have said about their statements. Just sports. It's unfortunate because he's only 19 years old, but because of his age, he'll be able to bounce back with physical therapy and modern sports medicine. But also to the rumors that's out there as far as this being like karma or payback, that's kind of shallow because Zaire Smith originally wasn't the Sixers draft pick that night back in June. They originally drafted Mikael Bridges, a Philadelphia native, but they traded him to the Phoenix Suns. So it's a mess going around saying, "Oh, this is karma to the Sixers," and just stop that. That's just stop it. No, mm-mm. Injuries are bound to happen in sports. But it happens. As Matt said, the Sixers are one of the top three teams in the East right now, along with the Celtics and the Pacers. So they have nothing to worry about. They're not bottom seeds. They're guaranteed playoff contenders. They have nothing really to worry about other than try to make it over the second round of the playoffs. They'll be fine, but there's no need to be stressed out and pressing panic buttons, as Matt said. But that's neither here or there. But yes, Zaire Smith will be fine. When he's get reevaluated by his medical staff team, we'll see where he is. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, moving on to the next question. It's Matt's baseball time.
My Louisville Slugger slash or Victus bat is gonna be some way up your head soon. I'm just saying. I
Stop being
have.
stop being so
Oh,
violent with people.
oh, poo. Look, I pose two questions. Two questions. And Dre, I invite you to answer this question. I really invite you. As of this morning, the Phillies are 1 percentage point out of first place. and pretty much they had a rough week. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks, and the Braves are getting hot, right? Yo, Dre, I'm pointing this to you. Are you concerned about the Phillies postseason hopes right now? That's my question to you. Do you think the postseason hopes for the Philadelphia Phillies are in trouble?
No, I'm an optimist, and you know this. I always look at the glass half full, not half empty. I think the Phillies are as great as they want to be. You know, they got to stay with that mentality. I think they have a great manager. I think Cap can lead them to where they need to be. They just got to really push, man. Like they got to not let anything stop them, and they got to rally around each other and do whatever it takes to just keep winning because they got this far. Nobody expected them to get this far, so you can only go up from here. So it's just I really think they're going to be great in the postseason. I think they're gonna exceed expectations as they already have.
Honestly, I'll admit to this. I'm going to admit this. I did not expect this team to be this good at this point in the season. I did not. And they're early, as far as their development is concerned. Am I concerned? No. Yes and no. No, because they just made a move to get Justin Boyd from the Miami Marlins. They're slugging for the bench, so they bolstered their bench. They got and don't forget this. They play Atlanta in August on the last weekend of the season. So I think it's going to come down to, as far as the division, it's going to come down to that weekend to see who wins the whole thing. So my thing is simply this, and I said this early in the podcast, like around like when the season started, when they got on that good start. I got on my bold soapbox, and I said that this team was going to the playoffs. I got a little scared after that, but as they played, I, I really think this team's going to the playoffs. I maintain that because they got one of the best. They got their rotation has stood out. Aaron Nola has been phenomenal, and Reese Hoskins has woken out of his slumber, even and showing no signs of slowing down after participating in the home run derby. So I'm chilling. I'm good, and this team is going to make it. But like all things baseball, there's ebbs and flows. It's gonna happen. You're gonna go into a losing streak once in a while. But you just hope, you just weather the storm and pray to God that what you get out of it is not as bad as you're still in it. That's number one. Number two, if you have not paid attention to the American League, Seattle, you won't believe what you might think that the American League is locked solid, right? No, it's not. One team just snuck up past the Seattle Mariners for that last and final playoff spot, which we all know the Yankees got that first wild card locked. Thanks, Boston. And it is a race between Oakland and Seattle. Now watch this. Oakland has a very tough schedule. They play Seattle, I think, this set three if not four more series against between Seattle and Oakland. And Oakland plays the Yankees. I'll open it up this way. Do you think the Oakland A's have a shot to get into MLB's postseason? The floor is yours.
I think they do if they keep on at the rate they're going. I'm keeping up with them online, and I watch as many games as I can. And they have firepower. This team that I haven't, Oakland A's that I haven't seen in several years. So they have the potential. They are up as far as position wise. I see their energy is up, and they have the desire to win. Like the games that they're winning, some of them have been blowouts I've seen. So they have it in them. If they keep going at the rate they're going, sure they have some kinks to work out with is late in the season, but they're on the road to being potential postseason contenders. From what I see, I don't know if others would agree. But that's what I see.
I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here. I'm telling you right now, watching baseball for as long as I have, you can be up right now and then let a team like the Seattle Mariners catch fire. You're
Okay.
done. You're done. So, and I didn't even get to the National League side of things, where if I can remember, one, two, three, five, 6 teams or 5 games or less from the last wild card spot. That's just the National League. But in the American League, I'm going to tell you this right now. I think Seattle is going to overtake Oakland, and here's why. I believe they're hitting. I believe they're from the optics, their hitting is better. That's just my thing. But let King Felix take the mound. It's over. I mean, you had one of the best starting pitchers in the game, and Felix Hernandez. When King Felix take the mound, lights out. Now, I would like to see Seattle in the playoffs. I really do. But honestly, I'm not giving 100%. I'm gonna keep it 100% with you. Seattle may have a slightly better schedule down the stretch than Oakland. They really do. So I'm gonna see it to you straight. As much as you might like, as much Amina likes everything Oakland, everything Oakland. They're not going to the playoffs. I'm saying it. I'm calling it right here. They're not going to the playoffs. Seattle will take that last spot because remember, you're in the division with the Houston Astros. So I think you Houston will kill Oakland, but Seattle will give Oakland a better run. Seattle will give them a better run against Houston than Oakland. That's my take on it. Oh, and oh, by the way, if you're not watching baseball, you should be watching baseball because the National League is thick. It's thick. It's thick. Okay? There's so many league changes in the National League, it makes one's head spin. So think about this. The Diamondbacks, the Giants, the Dodgers, they're in it. You got the Nationals are still hanging around, and the Pirates, who you think are left for dead, they're back in it. So if you're not watching baseball, you should be watching baseball. I understand football's around the corner, and I can't wait for football season. But until football season starts, you should be watching baseball. This is the greatest time of the year. Anything can happen between now and the end of September. Tom's yours.
Does anybody else have anything they want to discuss that happened this week as far as any other questions?
Yeah, I do. My thing is simply this. I'm making a bold petition right here, right now. The Eagles look good. They're looking good right now. Their defense is looking fine. But my question to you is, and I pulled the on the out on the floor for those of you that seen the first preseason game. What are your thoughts of that preseason game, and what did you take from it? I know Dre saw it.
Well, it's preseason, so it's the weeding out of the rosters. see who's going to make it to the regular season. We all know that. But the Eagles, they got to get it together on some ends that I see. Defense, they got to get up. But they're fine. Like, it's just preseason. It's nothing to be up in arms. You can lose every preseason game and have a terrific regular season and go to the playoffs. It's happened before on teams. So people shouldn't be up in arms about this game that they had against the Steelers. They just shouldn't. It's just a weeding out process. But I think the Eagles are good. The Eagles are definitely winning the NFC East again for this coming season. They're definitely doing that. I can definitely see that.
I mean, we all look. Everybody and the mom knows that you cannot take everything serious at the first preseason, let alone the first game of one. We all know that, but uh, uh, I'll withhold my thoughts. Dre, your thoughts on the first game of the season of the preseason? Time's yours.
Yeah, it's preseason, like Mina said. It's no big deal. Nate Sudfeld looks good, and he looked good last year, and I hope we can keep him, or if not, we could potentially trade him for a huge piece that we could use in our team. Somebody on defense possibly, because we pretty set on offense. We good on offense. Far as what I saw, I don't even know if I really saw anything rather than Nick Sudfeld played good. I like Dallas Goddard. I think he's that's the first time we rooted for Dallas. Um, I think mute yourself. Who the heck is that, Matt?
Yeah, I asked it.
No, I said mute yourself. You making noise in the background. Um, yeah, the Eagles gonna be great, man. We gonna do what we do. We gonna defend that title. We gonna get another Super Bowl. And I just can't wait to go down Broad Street again. Hopefully we can get together as a podcast and take a picture down there on Broad Street, saying, "Look at the Eagles, they won again." You know what I mean? But I just can't wait for season start. I can't wait to see Carson do his thing and for them to start giving him the praise that he deserves. Not no disrespect to Nick Foles because he did his thing. But we good to go. But it was good talking to y'all today. I gotta run. I gotta handle some business. But thanks for having us and thanks for listening.
All right, watch this. I didn't see the game, but I saw highlights of it, right? But as Trey leaves, I'll limit to this. It is the first game of the season. I want to see, how Nick Sudfeld played and everything else, and how he looks and everything else, and like I said, the first what I wanted to see was how the third string looks, second and third stringers look. That was my thing because we all know the first string is the first string. We know because in my view is when I watch preseason games is how good is your depth? How good? How well can they play under game conditions? I mean, there's some things that, of course, it's preseason. It's whatever. I mean, people work on things all the time, but I was looking at the highlights on YouTube. Look where I'm at. I'm in Saints country, and that's okay. But see, from what I've seen, taking I am I feel good about this team so far. The way they're looking right now. So far, this is putting stuff together as far as the team is concerned, and I'm rooting for stuff. Means Nick Sudfeld to stay on this team. Like Dre said, if you get more, if you get something for him, that's a plus. But again, my thing is preseason. We're not taking this seriously, but my thing is I just want to see how the team looks, and most of us are excited that NFL is back. And honestly, let the trash talking commence in the NFL.
I'm looking forward to my team too. We won our first preseason game last night against the Lions.
I'm gonna say it's the Lions, but that's a different story. But
And
we'll
then
leave that alone.
the next game we play is against the Rams.
It's only preseason there.
I know, but it's still win regardless. But if you don't have anything else left to say, this concludes episode 96 of our beautiful podcast.
Good
You know,
night, America.
have a great weekend.